Welcome to the series where we do hands-on exercises on LangChain, OpenAI, and Python. In this video, we create an email parser bot using a LangChain output parser where we get our AI output in a specific format. In this case, JSON or a Python dictionary. The use case for this would be, let's say you're building a larger application where you might have multiple AI functions and you need your output to be in a specific format so that you can take one function's output and use that as an input to another. Trust me, this will be very handy when you are creating AI agents, which we will cover later in this series. Here, we take one input from the user, which is an email text, and we create our format instructions according to our output need using LangChain parsers. In this case, they are ResponseSchema and StructuredOutputParser from LangChain. Then we create an email template, including parsing instructions, set up a prompt using that email template, and assign variable values. For example, provide the user email text that we need parsing and the format instructions. And once that is sent to the AI, we get a nicely formatted response that we can use anywhere programmatically. That said, let's get started. All right, so we are back at coding. These are the libraries we're going to be needing for our project, and let's install them. All right, it is done. So now let's get rid of this. And next step would be setting up the API key. And this is very simple here, just bringing in the OS and setting up the environment variable OpenAI API key. And this is all LangChain is going to look for in our environment variables. So all you have to do is just replace this string with your API key and hit this button to run it so that this becomes part of your environment. Once that's done, LangChain will be using your API key throughout the project. All right. Now let's move on to the main attraction, email parser system. Here, as usual, I'm bringing in all the necessary libraries and classes, ChatOpenAI, ChatPromptTemplate, and most importantly, the ResponseSchema and StructuredOutputParser from langchain.outputParser. That's going to be our main thing. And here I've already created the LLM model using ChatOpenAI. Temperature, this time I'm selecting 0 because we don't need any creativity from the AI end. We need exact answers. And as usual, I'm using the model GPT 3.5 Turbo. And this would be our input email message text. This is the one we're going to be parsing through. And if you look at it, it is basically an itinerary. Somebody visiting France from Atlanta, Georgia. So we have a place they're setting out from. There's a time, and then there's a arrival destination there. And there's also a description as to whatever they're visiting, what cities. Here we can see, Brussels, and they'll be landing in Paris. So with this, from this text, we are expecting an output as exactly this, a JSON output giving us the leave time, collecting the data from this text, and the leave from wherever they are leaving it from, and cities to visit. As mentioned here, the Paris, Brussels, etc. But this we're going to be expecting in a JSON format or a Python dictionary so that we can manipulate the data as we want and we can just feed it to other things. So that said, let's see what we are building. Step 1, we have to define our output schemas. All right, so as we mentioned before, these are going to be our output variables. So accordingly, we are creating our schemas. For example, leave time, using the response schema from here. And this is basically giving the name and description of the variable. And the description is when they are leaving. It is usually a numeric time of the day. If not available, write not found. So this is pretty much a level of prompt engineering from our end, because we are describing the variable, and in description we are telling AI what this should be, what this should look like. This is what, the AI should search in our input text right here. And same way, leave from, description and name, and cities to visit. And we're creating all the schemas using this class. Okay, next, step number 2, we will create a response schema by combining all these outputs. Okay, so this is how response schema looks like. We're sending an array of all these schemas. So this is now ready for the next step, where we're going to set up the output parser and format instructions. All right, so here's our output parser variable or object, and we're invoking this class StructuredOutputParser, which we collected from right here, langchain.outputParsers. And as an argument, we're sending this response schema that we created here to this output parser. And once that object is created, we're going to prepare our format instructions. This variable will be generated using output parser.getFormat instructions. This is a built-in method. So let's see what this looks like. Right, print it, and we're running it. Boom, there you go. So that's what our formatted instructions looking like. Once that's done, let's move to step number 4. This is where we create our email template and add the format instruction. Right, so this is what our email template looks like. We're basically giving it the instruction like, from this following email, extract the following information: live time, leave from, and cities to visit. And we're providing the descriptions of what they're going to look like, and the cities. If there are multiple cities, this is how we're going to be presenting it, like a list, Python list. And then we're telling it that create the output as JSON with the following keys. So these are going to be our keys to our JSON object as we envisioned here. See, these are the keys, and the values will be added, a list will be added like that after reading this text. Okay, so once our email template is declared, then we turn it into a real prompt template using ChatPromptTemplate, and we're passing our email template as an argument. And let's see what that looks like. I'm going to run it. All right, so it separated the input variable, email, and format instructions, and the rest of the message, this. All right, now let's see what's happening here. Here we are creating a request where we are assigning values to our variables. As one of our input variables, email, we're assigning the email message, which is all the way up here, the original message that we need to be parsed, and then our format instructions, which we gathered right here. So with these two, we create a request object. Now we are ready to send it to the OpenAI. All right, let's take our LLM model and invoke and pass the request object here. And we're going to print response.content because that's where the text message will be. So let me run it. Oh, look at that. It looks like a JSON, and all the structures are there. And it collected 9:45 Atlanta, Georgia, and Paris, Brussels, everything from this email, the 9:45. And our example was 8:45, so it actually collected this info. But there is a problem. We're not done. See, if we can see that what type this is, let's run it again. See, this shows up as a string, but that's not what we are shooting for. Because with the string, we cannot really parse and collect the data out. We need a JSON or a Python dictionary, right? But this is something, what you should understand is like, if you did not perform all these creating schemas and creating format instructions, etc., if we did not do that, this is the kind of answers we would get by using regular prompts. It's going to look like a JSON, but it's going to be a string. So just because we've done all the other stuff, so now let's go to the step number 6. where we actually get the data out as a dictionary. Okay, so now we have to perform this extra step. We have to take this response.content and pass it through our output parser and invoke a function called .parse, output parser.parse. And this output parser is coming from right here. We created using structured output parser from langchain. So now let's see what they look like and what's the type. Formatted output and formatted type. So this was our original one, and now after formatting, this is a dictionary, Python dictionary, and when we check the type of it, comes as a dictionary, and that's exactly what we wanted. So now let's see, add a few more steps to see what we can do with it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take some data out, like visited cities, from out of our output dictionary. And since these are our keys, as mentioned here, right? Cities to visit is one of the keys. So let's see what we get. And meanwhile, we can probably disable these guys. Right now, we no longer need them. So let's run it. All right. So look, now visited cities, we get the list, exactly what we wanted, how we wanted it. And with the list, we can even push it further. Now we can loop through it and get one city at a time. Look at that separately. So that means now we went ahead and had our AI parse this text and gave us exactly formatted response that we wanted, which we can actually use it exactly the way we want it. It is now a Python dictionary, something that we can send it as an input for other functions and do whatever we like with it. That said, this concludes our exercise number 4 with LangChain, OpenAI, and Python. Thanks for watching.